Law enforcement, they need to have their hands untied where they can do their jobs. Right now in California, what we're doing is working by bringing in the National Guard, by bringing in the Marines right now to back them up, to protect our federal buildings, to protect the highways, to protect the citizens. So right now in California, we're at a good point. We're not scared to go further. We're not frightened to do something else if we need to. Right now we're trying to.
With hammers banging up sidewalks? Is it something else? Like what's the threshold for?
Well, right now we're hoping it's going to get under control. We hope the curfew will work, and we're going to continue to do everything we can to keep California safe if the government of California is not going to help them. One more question.
One more question. The administration has talked a lot about defending law enforcement over the last week or so that these protests are going on, but you've been criticized for having a double standard with the president pardoning all these people who attacked police officers on January 6th in his first day in office. How do you answer that criticism?
Well, this is very different. These are people out there hurting people in California right now. This is ongoing, no longer. We're going to protect them. We're going to do everything we can to prosecute violent criminals in California. California is burning. These people are waving Mexican flags, yet they don't want anyone to go back to Mexico. They're burning American flags. This is the United States of America, and we're going to protect Americans. We're going to protect all citizens out there. Thank you. You guys have a great day.
And Senator, I want to give you a chance to respond to something Donald Trump just said about you on Fox in the last hour. He said that you asked President Biden for a pardon.
Well, that's absolutely false. In fact, I told the administration they should not give these pardons. But I watched that interview, Lawrence. I heard the president speak 3 lies in quick succession within a minute, 3 lies a minute. And I've reached the conclusion, clearly, Lawrence, he's slowing down.
Yes, and he said things there that if this were the Biden presidency, people would be, there'd be massive headlines tomorrow about how loss of cognitive ability and all that, which we will not see in any headlines tomorrow. Another thing he said was that it would have been too cumbersome. That was his word. Cumbersome to study every one of the 1,600 pardon cases where he issued all those pardons. So, of course, he would have no idea that one of them was engaged in child pornography and other such things in these records. Just too cumbersome for a president to look at every case that he was pardoning.
I asked Pam Bondi about this during her confirmation hearing. Would she be going through these cases? How could she possibly be going through these cases one by one? She was indignant. Oh, of course she was going to go through these. Of course she was going to give each of them individual attention. Turned out to be utter nonsense. And, look, there are, I think, 3 really significant takeaways from what just happened in the last 24 to 48 hours. The first is what you've been emphasizing, which is these people he just pardoned were beating police officers within an inch of their life. They were bear spraying them. They were gouging them. Were hitting them with baseball bats and hockey sticks. These are the people Donald Trump just pardoned. So one thing is abundantly clear. He doesn't give a rat's ass about law enforcement. That much is clear. But it's also really significant that these crimes, as serious as they are, of attacking law enforcement, were in the service of an even larger crime. And that was the crime of trying to interfere with the transfer of power after an election. So these were in the service of his holding on to power after losing the election. That itself is a major crime against our democracy, against our Constitution, against our country. But then finally, in giving these violent offenders these pardons, he is essentially telling people who would commit violence on his behalf that he has their back, that he will pardon them if they commit violence in the service of Donald Trump. And you would be hard-pressed to find a country that has gone from a democracy to a dictatorship without finding this step of essentially pardoning people who commit violence on behalf of the would-be dictator. It doesn't mean that we're going to become a dictatorship, but it does mean that we have taken one tragic step in that direction.
Who I believe was on house arrest just last night. Welcome to you all. Christopher, you're joined by your wife, I believe. Welcome to you, and welcome, Ryan. How do you guys feel? Ryan, first to you, if you don't mind.
I feel great. It really feels surreal. I appreciate you having us on so we can share this experience with others. I never thought that this day was going to come. Like we talked about if President Trump was reelected, the possibility of getting that pardon. He said he was going to do that, ran on that campaign promise, and then did that. And it changed our life overnight. It changed hundreds and thousands of people's lives overnight. My children, my wife, my family, and many others. And it's very surreal. And we thank President Trump for doing this for us. Thank you so much, President Trump.
It's amazing. Look, you heard the promise. Did you ever think, oh boy, I hope he keeps this? Did you have doubts? Anybody, did you wonder, boy, is he really going to do it?
Absolutely. You hear that online. You hear when Vice President J.D. Vance, made the statement violent versus nonviolent. I know people were upset about it. So there were a couple of times when you would hear something different, that wasn't confirmation bias to you. But ultimately, we trusted that President Trump would do the right thing. I know my attorney, Joseph McBride, was like, look, I've talked to the right people. He is going to do the right thing. Just trust me. And so we just had to trust. And we did. And he did exactly what he said he was going to do. And he didn't leave us behind. And we appreciate that, President Trump.
Stand by, Ryan. Christopher Worrell joining us. Congratulations. Your record has been cleared, and you're with your wife, Trish. How do you feel? At one point, I think you were facing about 10 years in the slammer.
Yes, sir. 120 months, and with no evidence to back up any of their charges. They just had a picture, and it was the most bizarre thing I ever went through in my whole life, obviously. But I gotta thank our Lord, all the people in this country that supported us, and for 4 years. It's amazing. I think, of course, our president, I knew he'd hold his promise as long as he got in there. But we've been blessed as a country, and now we have to focus on making it right.
Trish, the way I see it, ma'am, yes, many people were on your husband's side, but if you watch TV day in and day out, read the newspaper.
That was probably one of my worst days in this job. I think sent a chilling message to every police officer in this country that, you can be involved in some massive public disorder event, and that you could have a politician later on decide that, well, I liked what this side was doing, so we're going to pardon all these people. It was I think a slap in the face to every police officer that was here.
Okay, let's bring in CBS News Department of Justice reporter Jake Rosen to unpack this interview for us and some other headlines as well. Jake, what stood out to you during Manger's interview?
Well, right, it's not just the conversation that our colleague Scott McFarlane had with Manger and talking about the timing of his departure, but it comes obviously in the political context of 2025, in which the Trump administration has refused to really follow the line of investigations that went on for over 4 years about what happened on January 6, 2021. Those lawsuits have been stopped. The charges against President Trump were dropped, right? You have to remember that the threats against Congress members, according to Manger and data that was filed by the Capitol Police earlier this year, are at an all-time high, and he's actually asked for $1 billion. And the Capitol Police says that they need that money to ensure the safety of not just the representatives and senators when they're here in Washington, D.C., at their homes, commuting to work, and actually on the grounds of the Capitol, but as they travel through the country, Mugo. And we've seen at these congressional town halls that have popped up that tensions are rather high, and to kind of hit the...
Let's be honest about what we just watched. On one side, you have Trump and his allies celebrating the release of people who stormed the Capitol, calling them patriots and hostages, while praising themselves for keeping a campaign promise to pardon political violence. On the other side, you have the officers who were beaten, the families who lived through hours of terror, and the leaders warning that this is not just politics, it's a green light for chaos. What does it say about our democracy when violent attacks on Congress can be washed away with the stroke of a pen? When the same politicians who scream law and order can shrug off beatings and threats as collateral damage just because those attackers happen to support them. This isn't just about partisan spin. This is about whether we're willing to let any president reward violence in the name of power and pretend that's normal. If you think this is just going to stop here, ask yourself, what message did Trump send to the next group of extremists watching this unfold? He told them, don't worry, if you fight for me, I'll protect you. That's not leadership, that's an invitation to do it again. So what do you think? Are these pardons proof that Trump never cared about law enforcement or the rule of law, or is this really about protecting patriots at any cost? Smash that like button if you believe accountability matters more than loyalty to any politician. Share this video so more people can see what's happening behind the headlines. And drop your thoughts in the comments because this conversation isn't over. It's just getting started.